A little bit, surprised that there didn't seem to be a lot of substance to what he was saying.
How much more substance does it need other than, I want to break up the banks, we'll figure out how. I want to go after ISIS, I'll figure out where I interrogate them.
Well, it's going to be up to the voters.
But a lot of people would say,
decide,
Secretary, it's about what you want to do. You'll figure out how later.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's not the way I've seen it work over a lot of years and a lot of reading of history. I think the presidents who are successful know what they want to do and they know how to do it. And they hit the ground running.
Your choice.
Well, the politics is very clear. The Clinton campaign did not think that they were going to have a big challenge. You know, many folks, Chris, as you know, when Senator Sanders started this journey, thought he was a fringe candidate. He was at 3% in the polls. He's a federal senator from the great state of Vermont. Very few people across the country had even heard of him. And here he is in April of 2016, having won 7 out of the last 8 contests. Can you feel me now is pretty much what Senator Sanders is saying to the pundits and to people who did not believe that he would be where he is today.
Yesterday, I was quoting Fife Dog from Tribe Called Quest, saying that Bernie Sanders is asking the voters, can I kick it? And they've keep answering, yes, you can.
Amen.
There is a suggestion that Senator Sanders started by saying Hillary Clinton is not qualified to be president. Do you believe that that's what Bernie Sanders believes, or do you believe he was responding in kind to the idea of what makes you qualified?
Well, Chris, certainly, yes, he was responding in kind. And let us not forget that the Clinton campaign is in full frontal attack against Senator Sanders. They drew first blood. They started this entire fight when they talked about how he wanted to dismantle the Affordable Care Act and stop children from having the CHIP program, which they know good and well was a lie, that he has fought his entire life for people who don't have, and that a man who wants universal health care in this country for every man, woman, and child would even dare think about doing anything that would negatively impact folks' ability to have health care. It started when her campaign sent droves of folks out to question whether or not Senator Sanders had the civil rights credentials, him putting his body on the line as a young 22-year-old at the University of Chicago fighting against discrimination and segregation. And then, Chris, here we are today, they're questioning whether or not he's qualified. Now, the secretary said it in a very veiled way, but Senator Sanders answered the question very clearly yesterday at his rally. This is the fact of the matter. And then trying to disparage about him whether or not he is a Democrat. You know, Shakespeare once said that a rose by any other name smells just as sweet. This man has been working all of his life, all of his conscious life, to help the downtrodden and the oppressed in this country. And that is what being a Democrat is supposed to be about, Chris. Well, and by the way, the Democratic Party is a big tent party, and the question whether or not he's won just baffles my mind.
What? And the suggestion would be, you're just getting into the fight now. You've been standing on the sidelines. Is that fair criticism?
But that's not true, Chris. But Chris, that's not true. Senator Bernie Sanders had just recently in my own state, him and the secretary both were headliners at the Ohio Democratic Party dinner. You know what that dinner was about? Raising money for the Ohio Democratic Party. He has done that throughout his career. And let us not forget, even in 1988, when the status quo of the Democratic Party at that time turned their back on him when he was giving a speech to talk about why Reverend Jesse Jackson should be the president of the United States of America. That was the status quo of the party. So, Chris, really my argument is about whether or not the D by your name means something, or whether or not you stand up to the principles of what it means to be a Democrat. You know, passing crime bills that have eviscerated the African-American community, that was done under a Democratic administration. So let's have the conversation about what it means to live up to the values of being a Democrat.